want to support NA League of Legends? Do you want custom emotes to spam in chat? Do you want to wake up and taste freedom? Sub to twitch.tv/LCS_Challengers to salute the players and earn the flag!
Oh, Districts, wait, what about the Canadian players?
Heck yeah, they're in too! Anyone can!
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part, and you can too! Sub to twitch.tv/LCS_Challengers to salute the players and the flag!
And we're back. Every time we show that ad, it just brings me joy. And Desmond, as you were saying, you don't know how we're going to top that. Just wait till next week, okay?
Gives me joy, pride.
Hell yeah,
it's good to be
brother.
in NA.
Salute the players.
You kidding?
Salute the players, everybody. And also a reminder, if you're not subbed already and you have a Prime sitting around doing nothing, we would be honored if you could give it our way. We'd love to keep providing more content like this, and all of the proceeds go towards the scene. The players will be sharing the pool from the subs, so I'm very excited for that this summer. There's been a lot coming in already. I was checking between games, and we're already over 500 on this channel alone. Woo! In total between both. I haven't checked the other one, but I would not be surprised if we're already over the 1,000 mark. That would be huge, and hopefully we start adding incentives and things like that going forward on the broadcast side.
And remember,
next on our agenda,
there are different emotes on both channels. If you want the League of Legends themed one, that is this channel, LCS_Challengers. If you want the ones based on us and make Steve and Eric fight every single time in the Twitch chat, you got to go to Path to LCS.
I'm trying to find it right now. I'm scrolling. All right. Here's an example of what you can find on Path to LCS. Boom. There's the flex off between me and Desrix, but that's enough of that. We got another series ahead of us.
You didn't show anything.
What was that?
You didn't show anything.
I put it in Twitch chat.
Oh!
So I know there's like a little bit of a delay, just a tiny one, so yeah, it's okay. Everybody in Twitch chat will appreciate that. Let's take a look at the series ahead of us, though, because we do have two teams to cover. First up, Cincinnati Fear. Coming in off of a pretty rough start to their split. Not picking up a win yet, but they are considered still like potential heavy hitters in this summer. So, Joshi, who do you want to highlight from this roster if we're starting to pick apart members? Because there's a couple returning, a couple new.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel as though Perry has kind of been one of these star standouts ever since they joined Dignitas Academy as a substitute for Proving Grounds in summer, and then they came through for Cincinnati Fear in spring. This has been a player who I feel has grown a lot over the past two splits, and now is looking to showcase that it is continuing to show growth and build up all the mechanics.
And one I'm personally excited for, over at least the course of the last three splits, has been Shochi. Ever since the Taco Gaming days, I feel like every split after has just been constant growth, all the way till we had a, what was it, near top 4 finish coming out from Cincinnati Fear?
Top 4, I believe.
Top 4?
Yeah, it was top 4.
Fourth, yeah, and very impressive from them. But speaking of tacos, they're of opposition today. Not Taco Gaming, as Sergio has come from, but Team Fish Taco. We will get their photos populated throughout the split. I promise you this. My goal by the end of summer is that every single player will have their face on the broadcast. But for now, we're working with just the names. Destrix, I'm going to throw this one to you to start off here. Team Fish Taco, TFT. Who are we excited about coming in, and who maybe even impressed us in day one?
You know what? During the promotion relegation, I was actually most impressed with Onat, of all players. I felt he had some pretty good standout performances, and I think even with Spawn being back, there was a lot of criticism on Spawn last time, especially in LCS when he got the call up into there. But it was also a meta that was really high pressure onto him. He has more time to kind of like grow and kind of mingle alongside NXI, which was very interesting role swap to see. But
yeah.
You know what? I do think there is a lot of potential, even with Rosethorn. It might not be his best start, but he can bring it back.
And of course, NXI with the role swap, we'll talk about it in a little bit. But Josh, you got a point there?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like slander. You know, I let you defend Robbie Bob. It's my turn to defend Spawn, right? This guy is actually showcasing he's been able to lane. And we always said this guy has no killer instinct in some of the previous splits we've had. We saw yesterday. He has a killer instinct now. He's willing to flash forward in order to go for some of these plays.
Awesome to see the development of players split over split, especially Spawn, who had that LCS spot in spring. Now he's got to grind his way back up to that in the future. But Destrix, we did leave out two specific members from our recap there. The top laners, who share a unique history, which I believe you have a visual representation of for us here.
Yeah, look at them.
Watching.
Here they are right now.
Okay.
You know, just Lunacia and Philip. They were
They're on
having a good off season. Yeah, they were on FlyQuest. You had Lunacia, who was on
He has one
FlyQuest
hand.
Fam. Yeah. He doesn't have one hand. You'll see that in just a second. The off season, you see,
didn't
we
realize
have
Philip was so
our
jacked.
very special thing right here. This is the NACL trash bin. And they've decided, you know, since they were part of FlyQuest, they believe in recycling. No, they don't. They don't anymore. As they tossed them into the bin, threw them away.
Yeah.
And now we have our next chapter of both Lunacia and Philip, no longer tied to FlyQuest. Don't look at Lunacia's fingers any bit closer. But we have new teams for them, both Team Fish Taco and Supernova.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful
Wow.
stuff. That's not recycling, though. That's straight up throwing away.
They're not part of FlyQuest anymore, so they don't recycle anymore. That was the point we're
You're right.
getting at.
It's not in the contract anymore. So
It's not
they can
there.
actually get
No,
away with that now.
we don't do any composting at this point. I was really worried what was going to happen when you brought out that trash can. So I was like, they both had pretty decent springs.
Yeah.
Do you like
Something-
Philip's arms?
Yeah, I know.
it's
Philip's
pretty
arms
jacked.
are huge. Those,
Yeah,
those
you
are
just
absolutely massive.
that's just an actual photo of him, right?
Philip, I'm
I
gonna
was
beat
not
you
aware.
up.
Oh, it all moves. I thought that was multiple pieces. This is incredible.
This is what's
has
going to
gotta
go
be
down later on. This is a preview. All right, you can take it to the next.
Well, let's
This is
get
Eric
into
playing
the
with
actual
dolls.
footage we have of them because we wanted to highlight some of their plays so far. Obviously, different play styles. Joshi, that's the biggest thing I want to highlight here is that Lunacia was kind of known to be that carry player, right? Philip, maybe not as much.
Philip really had a tough start to the spring. He was one of the solo killing-ist players. Like, he got solo killed the most, more than basically anybody else. But when it came time to actually find their stride towards the end of the split, they really came into their own. While they were not doing particularly hot in terms of like solo kills during the regular season, they actually had the most during the playoffs. They got 10 and ended up only 2 solo kills behind what Lunacia was doing in the regular season.
I felt like one of the biggest issues we kind of had with Philip was the question of where is his ceiling at? Has he already passed it? Like, is this the most we're really going to get out of him? And, you know, that playoffs did bring some hope into it. I'm hoping that it's going to continue now that he's under Cincinnati Fear, an org that has shown that they can develop talent in the long run.
I want to highlight Lunacia here. As we saw, he did get a solo kill in his first game. That was pretty cool. And then he had this hype play. And then things maybe didn't look as good. For the rest, the Jax gameplay in particular, he kind of lost lane. They still were able to pick up a win in that one, actually. But it wasn't off of Lunacia. And also in the relegations tournament, wasn't stepping up as much as this, you know, lane-dominant, resource-intensive carry. So hoping to see a little bit more of that from Lunacia, or at least a pivot to show he's grown into a different style. But also, we wanted to highlight NXI as the support, because this is a big role swap, a jungle to support. Josh, what do we think about that? It's so rare that we actually get that as the role swap.
But it's the flavor of the month, right? We saw NXI and Dardoch also in the Tier 3 ecosystem doing the very same thing. I'm going to be honest, I haven't learned anything about NXI as a support yet. Even after watching his gameplay, he was just kind of there in the first series. But again, this is a very new role swap. It's happened less than a month ago. We have a lot of time left to see what he can do to grow into it and learn the bottom lane matchups.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think it's that odd that he switched from jungle to support, because both of these tend to have more of a macro-oriented viewpoint onto the Rift. So it's still going to play to a lot of the skill set he has, just completely in a different role.
In general, they're both very vocal roles, so hopefully that level will stay. But learning a whole new suite of champions can be tough. I'm not sure about NXI's, you know, solo queue record if he's, you know, filling up as a support every now and then. But either way, he's had a little bit of time to get ready for it. Let's see if it's enough as we're ready for pick and ban. So Districts, Joshi, take it away.
Yeah, he finally has learned that I am taking it, Josh. I am. All right, NXI. I want to look at the solo queue count now. I'm going to go look that up on the side. I want to see how much he's been doing actually on the support role.
It's a good question. He probably has like a burner account that's hard to find. But if you find it, let us know. It is going to be Cincinnati Fear. Even though they ended up dropping 2 games yesterday, it was versus FlyQuest Challengers, who a lot of people have at the very worst top 3 in this league, right? Like, these guys are going to be looking quite strong. They ended up going 2-0 yesterday, and then they traded games with Disguise earlier today on the Path to LCS stream, so there's still more gameplay to be watching there. But as we jump into this one, Cincinnati Fear also giving a lot of respect over to Lunacia's Jax. It was a situation where Philip was struggling particularly into Lunacia early on in the season, though it did get a lot better later on as the rest of the season progressed. And I really hope we get more late spring Philip more than early spring Philip.
This is a weird one to me. I actually looked up his OP.GG. He's playing more marksman than he's actually playing support role. So.
Okay, but what is marksman? Is that like Ashe? Because people are still playing that support.
No, we're talking like Samira, Aphelios, Zeri. He's actually playing marksman.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll see how effectively that can actually help. If you know both sides of the bottom lane, it will go quite well. We knew NXI was a pretty good mechanical player back during his previous tenure in the jungle. But as we jump into this one, we still don't see the same kind of support bans coming through. It doesn't look as though there's been a whole lot of pressure put on NXI's champion pool at all. Instead, they're trying to clamp down on some of the stronger things that Lunacia and Rosethorn can play.
How are you supposed to pressure NXI, man? It's
I don't know what he plays.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very new pool of water that we now have within our system. Should be interesting to see how that's going to play out a little bit more. I definitely want to see more from NXI as this does go on, to see what he's actually going to bring for Team Fish Taco. But final ban comes out. Gotta love to see it. Team Fish Taco going to ban away the Yuumi, but that does leave up, as you mentioned, the Emilio.
Yep, Emilio available, and JJ returning to the team as well. Now, we know that Cincinnati Fear was playing with Trevor last time around in spring, who we also just saw earlier in the day. But JJ, you know, do you remember what his nickname was on Dignitas?
What was it, like Papa Bear or something like that?
Mama Bear. It's Mama Bear. JJ
Bear.
coming through. He's got a lot of his little ducklings coming through, and I did see a very funny video about a bear yesterday. The bear might have had a little bit too much to eat, shall we say, and kind of had some rampages, and I'm expecting JJ maybe will do something pretty similar right now. Now that he is on the mill, he's got so much control over this and will really neutralize almost everything that Team Fish Taco wants to do.
I was really confused where you were going with that for a second, but happy you took that direction. As the Wukong locked in for Rosethorn, we're going to see the next follow-up for Team Fish Taco. They want to take away that Zeri and lock it in for themselves. Again, that does leave up a support such as the Lulu you were mentioning in the previous drafts if Team Fish Taco want to go for that. As for now, Cincinnati Fear just hovering away.
Yeah, this is one of the big things where we are going to be looking at how aggressively Manui does want to be playing down in the bottom side of the map, because it is a position where if you give something lane dominant alongside the Emilio, the extra range that the Emilio does provide means that you can be that little bit extra aggressive. You have some stuns, you have some crowd control, and then of course you have shield, so it just really is kind of like does everything that you could ask for an enchanter and a little bit more with, as we said, the extra range. And so giving this Aphelios all of the extra buffs alongside it is going to be making Spawn's life that much more difficult. And as we said, NXI, we haven't necessarily seen how effectively they can navigate a lot of the bottom lanes. It didn't feel like they were pushed too hard in the laning phase yesterday, but going up against Manui and JJ will be an entirely another level of challenge.
Start of the draft for Cincinnati Fear. They will show their bottom lane, but now they have a bit of flexibility as they end out the first round of the draft with the Gragas able to triple flex around if you so see fit. Team Fish Taco, only one more pickup to go through. I'm expecting a support pick to be matched right here as well. 2 seconds left on the clock, and the lock-in is Annie. Okay.
Nice. Well, that's going to be going over to Onat almost definitely. We did just see this matchup getting played by Robbie Bob and Darkwings just moments ago, and now Onat and Shochi could potentially reprise the role here in our last series of the day. And Onat is also a player that we know has been very vocal on Twitter, right? Like, this guy's got his own hashtag #ONation. Go ahead and throw that one in every single time. Whereas the rest of Fear, I feel like they really need to get on board with, like, the self-branding, because, like, Onat's got that in spades, dude.
Hey. Okay, it might be the players, but I do give credit to the org because they do post a lot on socials, and they even had that introductory towards the Cincinnati Fear last spring where they actually went through every single team member. But I do agree, get on that branding. It helps us get more subs.
Yeah, find your own hashtag. I still need to come up with one. I know there's a Leche Fandom hashtag. Leche Fandom has been one of our observers today. I believe it's actually Leche and Mermage. If you guys have been interested, you've been doing a great job with us. Shout out to all of our observers and production. But as we start looking towards the end of the draft, we are seeing a little bit more pinching towards NXI. I believe it was Nautilus and Braum that they played yesterday. And as we said, they both, he was kind of there for the most part, right? Not necessarily making a whole lot of big plays, but also not making any obvious blunders throughout the game. And so far, I mean, you can't really ask for a whole lot more off of a recent swap.
TFT, going to ban away that Syndra that Shochi looked really good on yesterday. Even with the 2-0 that FlyQuest took on them, I felt like Shochi was performing at a pretty high caliber for Cincinnati Fear. Did look good on that Syndra, so
Also,
they are doing their homework.
I also have to let you know, Eric, that I'm going to be lambasted on Twitter here fairly shortly because I thought it was Leche. It is, in fact, V-Flight on the observers. He does not take kindly to getting the wrong person on the shout-out. So we'll see what he ends up putting for me on Twitter. But as we get into this, we do have the Rakan potentially coming through right now. We have seen this pairing. Trevor did play it earlier in the day, and he looked pretty okay on it. He has had a lot of good Rakan play in the past, but now at NXI, I believe this is the first time we have seen him play this one, and he's got a lot of his team's hopes riding on his ability to engage on this champion, and it takes a lot of practice in order to get a lot of the correct angles to lock down the right people on this champion. So I'm already starting to look at Cincinnati Fear and seeing what they can do to punish that.
Cincinnati Fear are going to go for the hover, the Viego, and yeah, they're going to take that. So they're going to have some pretty good scaling into their pocket now, both having the Cephalios and the Viego, as well as the team fight potential of the Gragas. One more pick to come out from them to decide where this Gragas is going to actually end up. You could still take it both in the top lane and mid roll. I expect Shochi to try and take some sort of counter pick into Onat for this next pick to come through.
Yeah. It is going to be the Victor. I mean, Shochi, just like Robbie Bob, has played a lot of control majors, has had a lot of opportunities to showcase different things, but it is going to be forcing the Olaf up into the top lane, and the Gragas up in the top lane, and of course Gragas kind of neutralizes a lot of different top lane things. Like, it's really hard to build leads against this champion. It's basically always going to be safe. It can farm from range, it's got lots of sustain, it can really fight against certain characters, but it does mean that Lunacia appears to be reprising their role as the Olaf, which was the one hope for Team Fish Taco in some of their games yesterday, going up against Supernova.
And now, with this picked up by Team Fish Taco, I do like the level of power that they have drafted for their solo lanes for Rosethorn to try and play around with. Lunacia should be some pretty self-sustaining over there into the top side, and then Onat has that pick potential for Rosethorn to capitalize on. But it is against Cincinnati Fear, and they have found some responses of their own where if you do slip up, they can start rolling all too fast.
Yeah, and this is definitely a spot where if Lunacia really gets off the ground, Victor doesn't really come online in terms of the damage until like 2 items are completed, right?
Yeah.
There's this massive gap in the early mid game where Shochi will be on 1 item and Minui will be on 1 item, and Lunacia will be able to kill both of them in a 1v2 over and over. Fear really is relying on trying to get a little bit later on in the game, unless Minui or Perry kind of pops off during this game, right? These are the 2 players who have a lot of say about how much damage they can do early on in the game.
Of course, Mama Bear JJ there can prevent a lot of the engages, all but the Ragnarok to make sure that Fear are off to their best foot forward in this team fight. As we get into our final series of the day, it's going to be Team Fish Taco taking on Cincinnati Fear. Go ahead and type Fear in chat or Taco in chat on who you think.
Or Fear the Taco.
Here's the Taco.
Fear. Yeah.
I just gotta voice my frustration, by the way. Change it to Fish. Taco belonged to Taco Gaming. Come on, I'm sure Shochi's thinking about this right now, like, hey, come on, that was my tag back in the day.
Yeah, it's definitely something you got to think about. I definitely don't know anybody who would have ever tagged the wrong org on Twitter.
Or tag the wrong caster on Twitter.
Yeah, what was his name? Mad Men
I have
something?
no idea, like Manny, Mad something.
Yeah, anyway.
I don't know.
Not talking about anybody in particular for sure, but as we get into this one, right, we are going to be paying a lot of attention, in particular, to this bottom lane and see if they can punish NXI. And, ooh, they're waiting for spawn. They know that's the small fry. Let's go for the big one as Lunacia walks in. It'll be tough.
Not again.
Into the Viego.
Not again. Here we go. Lunacia trying to mimic what we saw in the last series, being an absolute pest in the 2v1, but that's Olaf for you. Lower his health gets, the faster the attack speed gets, does have a lot of good inherent regen, but will not be as effective as that last series. Perry still secures it.
Yeah. Not able to just run down a couple of low damage characters. Philip with the phase rush will be able to build enough space between himself and Lunacia to get back into lane, and hey, we do see a teleport coming around this time from Philip, so it should be less of the kind of a crazy play. Oh my gosh, didn't even notice this. Rosethorn comes over, forces Perry out of his own jungle, and looks like they stole away the Gromp as well. Rosethorn just does Raptors, gets 2 camps. This is actually looking almost identical to the games that we were looking at with Supernova.
But I really do like it for Rosethorn. I mean, it slows down this Viego, which does want to get some scaling going, does want to get the snowball rolling. So Rosethorn playing to that aggression that Lunacia had pressured earlier in that blue buff, now starting to eyeball this mid lane.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that this kind of invade from characters like Wukong works and creates a ton of pressure, ends up forcing Perry to kind of reset, and he is already spotted out by this ward. Rosethorn is already here to contest it.
Oh, Perry had yet to walk out of the brush, so he wasn't spotted by the ward just yet, but Rosethorn,
I can
you
see
should
why you
expect
struggle with Pixel Perfect. He absolutely walked out of the brush.
it.
He did. Are you colorblind?
No.
No? All right.
No.
Well, we will look into that a little bit later as Perry is forced down to the Krugs as well as Rosethorn. He's sticking away.
Just make fun of my eyes, you make fun of my head.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just such an easy combination of things to make fun of.
You know what? Just don't make fun of my beard. Don't make fun of my beard, or else
Why
it's
would I
going
make fun
too
of your
far.
beard?
Okay, thank you.
You have a
Thank
nice
you. You're
beard.
at least giving the respects there, as Rosethorn is absolutely disrespecting on a lot of these invades onto Barry.
Yeah, hey, Eric, has anybody...
I segued away, Josh.
Fine. Okay. Then we got the Scuttle Crab going through. Perry's here in the 1v1.
All right, fight breaking out. Perry so far getting the better of these exchanges, but backup has arrived for Team Fish Taco. They're going after Perry, but can they get him before Rosethorn falls? First blood bound for NXI. Spawn gonna chase down Minui in the back end.
Wow, I mean, Perry looked so confident in their ability to take it, but ended up hitting the wrong monkey a couple too many times, and Cincinnati Fears bottom lane was able to rotate, but Shochi was not, and just the extra pressure that Onat put on the fight was enough for them to win it. And now we are going to be looking at whether or not Spawn and NXI can take that small lead that they picked up for themselves and really snowball it across the board.
You're short.
Yeah? What of it?
Yeah.
Has anybody talked to you about your insecurities today?
Only you, Josh.
Anytime. As we start looking at the rest of it, though, we have to touch on the fact that Philip is getting the better of Lunacia up in the top side.
On the bottom side, Skirmish gonna break out. Root gonna be found by Minui. Let's get a good amount of damage onto the bot lane of Team Fish Taco. All the meanwhile, Perry, the invade, steals away the Raptor from Rosethorn. It's gotta feel a little bit good to get that vengeance. We even get a little stun, chip damage on the back end.
Yeah. Harry doesn't actually have backup here from Shochi, and that's why he has to give up so much ground, and Philip is almost here, though.
Okay, Philip. Big boy gonna come right over that wall. If he goes for the body slam, lands it! Beautiful from Philip. Fight in the bottom lane. Spawn, 100 health remains. JJ unable to finish the deal, but will set his sights towards NXI, who has nowhere else to go but the respawn.
Oh my gosh, all over the map. There is just skirmishing and brawling, and wow. I mean, it's honestly remarkable that only 3 kills have happened so far. Philip goes, picks up the kill onto Rosethorn in the bottom lane. The 2v2 win does go over to Minui and JJ because Spawn and NXI haven't had time to spend any of their money yet. And I love the fact that like Shochi just like chills there, backing like in line of sight, gives the thumbs up as he misses the cannon. But it's again remarkable that only 3 people have gone down because everybody on this map is just ready to fight until they have no HP left.
Yeah, we're kind of just throwing down. That's the basically the theme of most of the days thus far. Dragon is available. That
it's all the way
Dragon
back.
Pit, where the fight happened a little bit earlier, where you wouldn't let me segue, Josh.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we start getting this, we are.
Yeah,
we are
how's it
back into
feel?
life.
How's it feel, Josh?
Oh, fuck. That's not fair. Production's on your side.
Good. I treat them right. I don't miscall them on the production.
Oh, is that V-Flight just like taking digs at me at this point? Oh,
Damn
man.
right, Josh.
All right, well, Philip
Respect
does
your
have level
observers.
6 to Lunacia's level 5. Okay, and as soon as I say that, the opportunity disappears. He could have used the explosive
Even
dash
the
for a
game's
small
fighting you,
moment.
Josh.
Even the game doesn't want me to be right, but Minui with the red-white cleans up the wave, and look at those chakrams.
Oh, he's going. The chakrams are flying. Rosethorn not too far off from joining. Doesn't have level 6, so he won't have the Cyclone. Minui now looking for the Veil. Flash in from Rosethorn. Takes down Minui, and JJ follows suit. So does the top
This is
laner.
going.
Philip gonna fall. Death's all over the rift right now. It's Team Fish Taco who are getting the meal.
Okay, and Rosethorn not done with it, potentially still looking for Shochi. Does Shochi know he's there? I don't think he has any idea. He's just got to keep on running.
Run, Shochi, run! Gonna pop the ultimate to clear the wave.
That's red.
Meanwhile, he knows he doesn't belong. And now Onat to finish up the dub.
Wow, Fear just going too aggressive kind of across the board. They thought they could take the fight, but this
What happened here?
looks to be the 1v1 up in the top side of the map, and I'm guessing that Philip just walks too close and gets a weird rundown.
Oh, this
Whack.
you just got Olafed.
Bam!
Just got absolutely Olafed. Again, the lower the health is, the faster he attacks, the more of a threat he is, and Philip will feel the fierceness of Lunacia.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we were saying, right, you need to get the fight off before Lunacia hits level 6, gets the ability to ignore all of that ground control, and Philip just gets run down, and the worst possible thing about that is Lunacia gets the double buffs transferred right on over. He gets the reset on the timer. This game, like, everybody is just ready to go, and Cincinnati Fear, while they do get a couple plates down here in the bottom side to equalize some of the kills that did go over in the other direction, the big thing here is that Shochi now has no flash, and Victor is one of the most attackable mid laners in the entire game when they have no flash, and Rosethorn will probably hit level 6 off of this Rift Herald.
Finishes up the Rift Herald and has his choice if he wants to go for the no flash Shochi, as you have mentioned, or you got double buffs over there on Lunacia, maybe try and set up something for Philip. Would be a tough one. Gragas does have that explosive cast on the invade. However, it's Perry who's attacking an NXI. Cincinnati Fear are setting up a play on a spawn.
It's a tough play. Yeah, they just go ahead and back away. God, that ability is so good. It just heals, it gives you a little bit of bonus damage, it gives you bonus range, and now Perry running into spawn.
NXI and spawn will make the play before Fear can set it up. It will burn the flash of Perry.
Perry's kind of gotten caught out a couple of times already in this game. It creates some very awkward situations for the rest of his team as they try to respond, and Perry now with no ultimate, much less of a threat. But also on the other side of the map, Rosethorn taking away a couple of his camps, has the Rift Herald, has the ultimate. Kind of want him to go for Philip, honestly, right? He can just do so much damage. Lunacia can just get a lot of damage, but Lunacia is already so weakened. It doesn't look like they're going to be willing to go for it, just taking away even more camps from Perry's side of the map.
He's weakened, but that means he's even more of a deadly threat when he's on that Viking. While Rosethorn clearing out the camps for the time being. Doesn't look too poised to focus over onto that top side. Double buffs did expire from Lunacia, so Phillips' hellhole is now going to be over on that top side. Won't have to deal with much of that sustain and the burn. Rosethorn sees Shochi, flashless once again. This is an area to focus. You have no flash for Onat, but if you step up towards Onat, Onat doesn't mind just dropping it raw, and there it goes. A quick pickup going to be found by Rosethorn.
Only a single turret shot taken as well. They go ahead and whack away at this mid lane turret. They have the Rift Herald too if they want to give even more money over to Onat, but instead, just going to be taking the 2 plates there, and Rosethorn returns into the jungle. Feels as though Team Fish Taco are absolutely coming alive all of a sudden as they are taking control in the jungle. They're taking control in the bottom lane. And now Onat, right? We're talking about how Robbie Bob would not have the freedom to move around the map on the Annie just because they were put so far behind. Now Onat has the ability to move anywhere they want on the map as they get pressure, and can even just look to solo kill Shochi by themselves.
And it's causing a struggle for Cincinnati Fear, especially Perry. As you had mentioned earlier, there were a lot of mistakes coming out from him, now trying to avenge those, but doesn't realize Rosethorn is waiting in the wings to jump in on this fight, and Perry has to just burn his flash to get out. I gotta say, Josh, I really not liking Perry on the Viego. We used to see him in the past, what was it, like Sejuani, Gragas. He was phenomenal at being a teamfight initiator back then, but on Viego, it feels like we're lacking.
Yeah, I mean, it is still early on in the season, but it is a little bit surprising to see Perry kind of struggling in this game, right? Going for a lot of these plays. It feels like he's taking a lot of risks that Perry in spring and even Perry in summer would not have, which, you know, as you get better used to what risk you are allowed to take, will eventually get you better, but seems to be struggling a little bit right now. Now, the one thing I am happy to say is that it appears that we are getting late spring Phillip a little bit more, going up against Lunacia than early spring Phillip, as they kind of trade back the kills back and forth. Now it is going to be Phillip on the Grog is actually going into the game with enough gold to participate in a lot of these fights.
Phillip can be a big factor once we start grouping as a 5-stack. Things that can get those team fights going are usually going to be around those neutral objectives, and speaking of, we do got a minute before the ocean does come down. So far, it's Cincinnati Fear who kind of have control of that map. Sadly, I don't think that's going to be the state for long. You do see that Rosethorn is clearing, should be clearing towards the bottom side very, very soon. And that's when you'll have the presence of Team Fish Taco.
It's also the biggest spike in the game for Rosethorn. Once you complete the Divine Sunder, you just do so much extra damage. You have so much sustain with that and the Conqueror that you just keep yourself alive in situations where it feels like you shouldn't. Whereas the members of Fear, Minui and Shochi, this is some of their weakest parts of the game. And Perry is still not having completed a single item, still not looking particularly hot. The only advantage Fear have as they are starting to set up for this dragon is the fact that Philip has a teleport and Lunacia does not. And Philip is a player that will go for some more crazy flanks just to see if they'll work.
Problem here is you don't really have a good teleport angle for Philip. You can go for the bottom lane if you choose to contest for this dragon. There's not much really afforded by Cincinnati Fear. It doesn't look like they want to contest this. I think that's going to be the right call for Fear. They're not at a point where they've spiked in their damage. They give it away to TFT.
Yeah, and it's not as though it's like a super important dragon for Team Fish Taco either, right? It is just their first one of the game so far. Look at this, Onat just having the ability to move around the map will create a lot of pressure.
Onat jumps in onto Shochi. Perry is there to help out, but not enough to take down Onat. Dragon's still going to be secured for Team Fish Taco. Cincinnati Fear empty-handed.
I think Shochi did that in the wrong order, actually. Like, if he throws out the Chaos Storm first, you can cancel the animation because it's so short with the Q, but you can't really do it in the other direction, right? You need to get the Q out. So if the Chaos Storm goes out, they might be able to kill Onat. As we talk about that, look at this play that they're setting up onto Minui in the bottom lane.
Whoa, there's no amount of warm hugs that's going to help you from this one. Minui tries to get the fancy flash. Oh my word, Minui's alive! And now it's time for the flip coming out from Philip as he will flash body slam, sets his sights on NXI, bumps him into the opposite direction, finds a double kill, explosive cast goes out, forces out the flash from Spawn. Able to get the root through. JJ standing there. Can't believe Minui survived, but Philip, the big boy on deck, turns it around for Cincinnati Fear.
Wow, what a great body slam flash from Philip, catching two members there as well. I hope we get a replay of that one because there's a bunch of big things. And now Philip looking for Spawn. He should get over the wall.
Yeah, he should get over the wall. Unless we got some time, but the body slam was already on cooldown, so not an issue there.
At the same time, we see Shochi go up towards the top lane, make sure they get all the farm up there, still stacking up the Victorplex, but
Can't believe he lived.
Rosethorn's W here is bizarre, I have to admit, right? Like, he just goes, and now he does not have that ability for the rest of the engage. The E was absolutely in range, and that's part of why, like, that W is still on cooldown even all this time later, as Philip ends up coming in as the superhero. As we see it on the screen, we're starting to see jockeying over the Rift Herald as well, as Spawn is able to get away.
Some wild stuff coming out from Cincinnati Fear as they are able to snap right back, putting the gold lead down to just 1K between them and Team Fish Taco. And it gives them enough presence on the map to actually set up for this Rift Herald to be the first foot over there. Harry will secure that.
Yeah. Harry does grab that one. We are seeing NXI and Onat trying to create some pressure and create some traps down here in the bottom side of the map. Onat can do a lot of damage to somebody, just kind of bursting them out. They're not going to be able to get anything off of that one. This is one of the things that I'm kind of expecting to see from Fear. They have players like JJ in particular and Perry who are relatively vocal and will help out a lot in terms of the planning around the rest of the game. Whereas for Team Fish Taco, right, like, their players are pretty quiet for the most part. Like, Onat is probably the most vocal player on this team, and he's also the newest one. So if he is able to kind of help out the more veteran players find their voices, that can be really big. But I guess it's NXI playing from an off role who's going to be the most vocal one in terms of creating plans, and that creates really weird situations.
Yeah. It'd be a weird one for Team Fish Taco, given NXI being down there. I mean, it still carries over a lot of what he was able to bring. Now Team Fish Taco are going to focus onto this bot lane, trying to find Philip. They don't realize Perry's just around the corner. Now focusing on to the Viking. Will take down Lunacia. 2-on-2. Coming back once again as NXI goes for the chase. It gets chopped up for it. Philip and Perry together. This dynamic duo does work. It gets a triple kill for Perry.
Wow, a huge turnaround. Perry going for a lot of risky plays earlier on, but this time is rewarded for everything that they go for, and the rest of Fear ready to pick up everything. They're not giving anything back. Excuse me.
Oh, Shochi takes the fight with Onat as Tibbers goes down, but Bear are going to chase for a little bit longer. So will the Chaos Storm.
Yeah.
Go even on that exchange.
Wow, lots of things thrown out there, but Onat actually missing the Tibber stun. That would not have taken half that damage if they actually land the Bear part of it. So Shochi able to walk away in a decent position. As we take another look at this one, right, Lunacia thinks that Philip made the same kind of mistake as before and just commits the ghost right away to try and run down the Gragas, but the phase rush is able to buy enough space that it forces the flash out, and they don't know that Perry is right around the corner. And then, remember how we said it takes a lot of practice for Rakan to go for a lot of these different plays?
Yep.
Hasn't happened just quite yet. There's not a whole lot that Rosethorn can do to build enough space.
Gives a good exchange going in favor of Cincinnati Fear, and now the gold lead in favor of Cincinnati Fear. Even Shochi able to survive some of the onslaught that came from Onat. Give credit to Onat to that regard. He is a younger player into the scene, you know, started back in Wildcard Developmental, which was last year. So a rather fresh face.
Yeah, and he's confident too, right? I think it was Alex saying, you love watching these new confident players because they will try and make things happen. And now as Rosethorn comes around to try and contest this dragon, Cincinnati Fear are in a little bit of a better spot, but it still is a 4v4 while Shochi and Minui do not yet have their items completed.
Perry just walks up on NXI. We'll take a third of his health. Dragon up. One of the main engagers did just get chunked out for Team Fish Taco. If Herald's going to go down, is it? Yeah. Just placed right there by Perry as the dragon does come up.
Well, doesn't crash anywhere, but Philip is still picking up a turret on the top side of the map as Perry runs into Lunacia.
Well, Lunacia would like to take this exchange, but doesn't realize Shochi's not too far off, and despite the low health, Olaf, that means you're at threat. He will fall. Perry trying to slip out from Onat, who flashes forward, gets the flash. Tibbers right on Perry. Fight gonna continue. Teleport now coming out as Philip will join the fray. Goes right onto the carries and eviscerates them. Big boy Philip brings the pain and brings the fear for Cincinnati.
Oh my god, Philip is doing so much work. A triple kill going over to the big man on campus. Philip ready to right all the wrongs of spring. It comes right on through. 6-1 and 4. Just the way that he's going in with so much confidence is helping out so much. Is now we get to see another thing, right? Like when this Olaf is not ahead, you can just burst him out and kill him with the executes that are there from Perry. Now, I do want to say this was really good from Onat, right? Using the Q to guarantee the stun would chase, gets the kill. At the same time, this looked really worrying here, but Philip not deterred, just goes right on in, kills both carries basically by himself in exchange for Minui.
Lunacia on the chase, trying to find Shochi. JJ's there, wants to bring protection. CC immunity though. Lunacia doesn't have the damage, Josh. Shochi's still alive, and Lunacia will fall!
Whew. Just barely walking away from that one. Shochi, so much speed in that last fight being provided by JJ, and also just the speed that Victor does have. But wow, this is what happens when the Olaf starts falling behind. It still gets these crazy moments, but just feels as though it's never quite enough.
I sent a DM to Shochi before telling him, hey dude, you're my favorite anime. And it's moments like that that really encapsulates it for me. Just barely able to survive by the skin of his teeth. Great stuff coming out for Cincinnati Fear's mid laner, and of course JJ to provide that protection.
You know what's happened, Eric?
What?
Victor and Aphelios have crossed the threshold. They're
time.
now both on 2 items. The damage is there, and Lunacia, the guy who's supposed to be the threat, is not strong enough to take them down anymore. Now, we turn our eyes to Onat.
Oh, Rosethorn gets a Cyclone, gonna find the knockup on Perry. Perry's absorbing a lot of damage. Here comes Onat on the flank, will take down the Milio in the blink of an eye. Now Minui trying to survive, can't stand any longer. A double kill going to the O Nation, throws down the stopwatch, will be able to block out a lot of that damage, but not enough. Shochi goes on a killing spree.
Yeah, Onat coming around from the backside, finding that flank, saves the lives of many of his teammates, and now Philip has to come around to try and defend this turret, but there is no defense for this at all. Team Fish Taco come out with a small victory over that last engagement. But I think the real fight is very likely to come around this next dragon as, ooh, Lunacia knows that Perry has no HP.
Oh, Perry run. Perry run. Not stay anywhere near that Olaf. Well, they'll take that recall. So Cincinnati Fair, it's all right. You can breathe. 3 minutes before the Dragon does come up and put some pressure onto the map. There's still the Baron available. 22 minutes into this, it was an early game that definitely did belong to Team Fish Taco, but slowly and surely, Cincinnati Fair fought this back.
Yeah, and again, they have a lot of scaling tools. So if they are allowed to take these like front-to-back team fights, they will be in a fantastic position. So it is going to be on Lunacia and Rosethorn to find their way into the back line. But this was a criticism I had of Team Fish Taco yesterday. Rosethorn, I don't know if I've ever seen a flank from this guy in my life. Lunacia will try and go for them, but...
Oh, Minui's exposed and will get dismantled. Lunacia grabs the kill. It's a double now. Rosethorn finds another. Shochi on retreat alongside Philip and Perry. And with that, Team Fish Taco have just won themselves a Baron.
Yeah, just get face checked. I guess that's the easiest flank. Felix tried to T-pose his way back into the mid lane, not able to do anything there. But now the rest of Cincinnati Fear are going to try and contest this one 3v5. They just need to stop it. They don't need to take the fight.
Oh boy,
here's
Lunacia's on the flank. Lunacia's on the flank. Lunacia's hungry. This Viking hasn't ate in a while. It's time to go on an all-you-can-eat buffet, but just waiting for the right moment, the right time. Doesn't have his Ghost, doesn't have his Ragnarok, only has the Flash, so it's very, very crucial that Lunacia bides his time. Out comes the explosive cast, lands onto Onat, and it's enough for Cincinnati Fear to stop the Baron.
Good stuff. I mean, that's a lot of threat that Cincinnati Fear were putting on, and okay, I was like, are they going to go for NXI? No, they're going to be the ones that start up the Baron, though. They're still waiting for people to come on over. There's still a lot of buttons missing. There's no flash on Onat. Lunacia.
JJ has arrived. Onat, half out. Lunacia on the flank. 4-stack. Comes Team Fish Taco on one end. They're on the ramp right now. Baron, AK health remains. Perry still wailing away on it. Ooh, knock up onto JJ. Lunacia finally going to show. JJ's knocking out Rosethorn with the flank. Gets the Cyclone onto Cincinnati Fear. Sends him to the skies and slams him right on down in the name of Team Fish Taco. Spawn with the chase onto Shochi. Will take him down. 4 to the wayside. Team Fish Taco.
And just as I was saying, we haven't seen a flank for Rosethorn. He does the thing we need him to. He goes around the side. He finds his way into the back line, and the brutality that comes through for the rest of Team Fish Taco absolutely vindicates him as they find themselves this Baron. But watch this. Rosethorn was having so much trouble on the Vi yesterday, but now he goes around. It's on full vision. The rest of Cincinnati Fear don't respect it at all, and it allows Spawn. Look how far forward this Zeri is. He knows he can hit whatever. Shoji has no mana. Minui doesn't have as much damage because he needs to just run away. And Team Fish Taco get everyone but Philip.
Team Fish Taco are bringing the fight to Cincinnati Fear. Not going to go quietly into the night. They're going to make this one a war between both of these squads. Dragon is now up and on the map. You have some members of Cincinnati Fear setting up towards that direction. They don't need to feel forced to fight this, though. It's only one Drake going over to Team Fish Taco. It will be their second Drake of the game. Yeah.
So it doesn't look like Cincinnati Fear are going to be going for this one at all. Instead, just going to continue farming their way up. And as we have seen Team Fish Taco go for more of these fights, as Rosethorn seems to be finding that confidence to start getting these fights started in ways that we were not seeing yesterday. It is creating a situation where Cincinnati Fear need to be very careful about their flanks. They don't have somebody like Saligo on their team to create these opportunities to deny flankers. Instead, you have Philip, and while Philip has been a great player trying to dive into the backline, he's not been known to be on marking duty very often.
But he has been a really big piece for Cincinnati Fear, given he's still 6'1 and 6.
True.
Just that problem. How well can you respond to these engages coming out from Team Fish Taco? Setting up into the bottom lane will be Team Fish Taco, as they send Spawn in the mid lane for the time being. He will be able to claim that tower.
Yeah, he's also on 3 items. Maybe he's on 2.
The Baron empowered wave now crashing into the spot lane inner.
They take that one down, right? There is not enough wave clear coming out from the side of Shochi. They went for the Shadow Flame, which will help out, you know, in some of the fights that they had already had, but now they're kind of wishing they had something like the Rabadons, something that's going to be scaling even harder into the game. But look at this. I love the fact that Philip feels so much more confident this summer than we saw from him in spring. Just going for a lot of things, trying to get as many resources taken away from Team Fish Taco as they can. But Eric, it does yet again feel as though we were looking at junglers yet again. This has been a theme so far throughout the day. What can they do? How can they find their way into this one? And can Rosethorn find his way to disrupt Shochi and Manui's pockets?
Would love to see another flank to come out of Rosethorn. It could be all that's needed to seal the deal for Team Fish Taco to take this win. We are in the deep end right now, coming upon, not that far off from 28 minutes. These death timers are going to get long, and we're getting more and more gold into the pocket of this Viking. Another tower does go down, the final outer tower Team Fish Taco needed to grab. Now they're working on that final inner.
Here's what Philip's plan is here.
Secret Agent Philip.
Oh.
What's he gonna do?
All right, members of Team Fish Taco. Yeah. All right, fair enough. But I mean, that's definitely the kind of spot where it is a trap being set by Philip, right? If Spawn or Onat walk too far forward to try and hit that structure, Philip is in the perfect place to do something about it. But, traps only work if your opponents spring them. That's the crazy part about traps, right? As we start looking at the rest of this game, I've actually been rather impressed by the way that Onat has played on this candy, right? He played okay yesterday, and as a rookie player with a lot of confidence, you oftentimes look at those players to make a lot of, blunders, but also a lot of really big mistakes. And we haven't necessarily seen that from Onat so far today. In fact, based on how well the early game went for Team Fish Taco, there wasn't as many opportunities for him to even make some of these big plays just because they were winning. There was not opportunities that Fear was giving them to fight them.
Now as we get closer and closer to the 30-minute mark, it's a 5K lead coming out for Team Fish Taco. Cincinnati Fear, they're starting to feel the pressure as Team Fish Taco have been slowly working down a lot of these structures. It's been a while since we've been in a situation where we feel like Fear is in the driver's seat of these. A lot of this has been coming from Fear's ability to teamfight, and of course Philip's ability to get onto some of those carries, but we need it now more than ever if you're a Cincinnati Fear fan.
Yeah, Fear's composition is not particularly good at going for retakes, right? They do not have easy flankers. They don't have front lines from both sides that they can really play for. And something that we haven't really touched on kind of at all is the quality of item difference between Onat and Shochi. While yes, they have the same number of items, one of them has a Rabadon and the other one has a Void Staff. The Rabadon is going to do more damage every single time to every character as we start taking a little bit more look. But Cincinnati Fear have bullied their way into position where they can potentially get to the Dragon first before Lunacia is able to get himself into a good flanking spot.
Lunacia getting smited. Jay's going to come out from Perry onto Lunacia. Got to be careful about that because Perry is very isolated in the situation.
Yeah.
So is Lunacia, who gets cut out from the rest of Cincinnati Fear positioning into the river.
Yeah, but it's not as though Lunacia is upset about being over here. It's just about whether or not Cincinnati Fear can go for an engage. But hey, you know who your only engage is? It's Philip. And he's back.
Big Philip.
Make it happen. Here we go. Lunacia runs in, goes after JJ. JJ able to flash out. But look at this forward momentum being found by Team Fish Taco. They'll go for a chase on to Philip. The rest of the members now starting to get low. Onat's going to survive with the slither of health. Rosethorn, a chase on to Philip. And it was a rather disjointed fight, but it's still going to be a one-person net gain going out to Team Fish Taco.
And a shutdown, right? It's not just that. You're also going to be getting the Dragon. Yeah, it's a bunch of money going over to Rosethorn. They get this next objective. They can start looking at the Baron as well. But yeah, as soon as that fight starts, there's no way that Cincinnati Fear can do anything unless there's a miracle play from Philip and Perry, just because Shochi and Manui have no pockets within which to play. They have to be incredibly careful about their ability to move around the map. And now Cincinnati Fear, they move in force around the Baron to try and take some control around here so that they can force Team Fish Taco to walk into them. They still have a chance in these fights, even down 6K, as long as Manui and Shochi can kite together.
And as long as Onat doesn't find those priority targets with the Tibbers that he's been dropping, given he has not just Death Cap now, but 2 Infernals on top of it, I'm curious to see what the AP of Onat is, if we can check that out in just a second. We'll see that eventually. Yeah. Got to have a lot in the pocket right now. That's a lot of damage that a nanny can bring.
That's a lot of damage.
A lot of damage.
Anyways,
flex
let's
tape
start
gonna fix
blasting.
Trying to blast, but that blast did no damage from Shochi. Spawn. Ooh, that's a tough spot for Cincinnati Fear to be when Spawn can position that far forward.
It has been Spawn yesterday with how far forward he has played. He's very close to Perry.
Perry. Oh, Perry. He has to use the Heartbreaker over the Raptor wall to get away from that, but that means you're forfeiting so much pressure back over to Team Fish Taco as they set up towards Baron.
And Jungle Privilege only works when you're hitting jungle camps, not when you're hitting the minions. He's not going to be back to full HP just on account of the roll. But look at this flank coming out from NXI and Lunacia. Cincinnati Fear are at least correctly assuming that Lunacia and NXI are in that spot.
The Grim Reapers of the NACL currently on their deathbed if they don't do anything soon enough. Lunacia holding the line, throwing in the axes. Minui is able to find the root. Onat goes forward, misses the Tibbers. A big cooldown down for Team Fish Taco.
Baron resets. And now it's this crazy all-around fight, right? Shochi and Minui are not kind of together, and Philip needs to find his way out.
Philip gets a slow onto Lunacia. But, ooh, this is doom and gloom for Philip. Finally gets caught out by the charm of NXI, and down a member will be Cincinnati Fear.
Philip will end up going down here, not doing a whole lot of damage in return. This should be Team Fish Taco's moment to go right on back to the Baron, having taken down one of the biggest diving threats on Cincinnati Fear. Team Fish Taco, they come around, they don't need to flank anymore. They just need to make sure that they are able to poke out. They just need Onat to be this body blocker to make sure that nobody can get in.
In mind, Onat does not have Tibbers right now. That did just time out. NXI looking for the flank. Does not have his ultimate on top of that. Team Fish Taco is still going to pursue onto Perry. Lunacia is starting to get low. Healthy is Cincinnati Fear. Is it healthy enough to take a fight? Cyclone goes out. Able to pick up one is Rosethorn, but it gets returned twice by Team Fish Taco. A double kill found by Rosethorn.
That's how powerful Team Fish Taco have become. They fight into the perfect corridor for Minui and Shochi to try and defend their position, and it still doesn't matter. Team Fish Taco just barrel their way through. Barry is nowhere close enough to try and make any of these steals happen, and Team Fish Taco have solidly put themselves in a spot where they can contest against one of the teams that we thought might be able to move their way up into that top echelon.
We had a lot of expectations on Cincinnati Fear, but a rough start to their season. It's still going to continue after that day one because Team Fish Taco are not letting up. An 8K lead now, and so much credit to these engagers. Both Rosethorn and Onat are showing to play.
Yeah, and good stuff. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from all these players here on Team Fish Taco, right? There's a mix of experience coming out from the squad. Onat definitely the newest one. And even though the Tibbers missed in that last fight, right, the willingness to go for these plays, seeing these angles and going for them is the kind of thing that you really need to do as a younger player in order to try and keep up, in order to try and learn to keep up with some of the best players that we have had in the Tier 2 ecosystem. And Onat is going for them. He's not afraid of anybody else in this game. Was he the one saying, he's like, yeah, I'm ready to expose a lot of frauds?
And look at that. Onat summoners are back up. You know how deadly that can be with an Annie. Will still throw down the Tibbers and use the flash to get out. A chance for Cincinnati Fear to snap right back. Team Fish Taco gonna bail.
Lunacia is still alive, but he's not in a flanking position. This is actually a team fight where Cincinnati Fear can think about taking it.
This is their moment. They go after Spawn. Moonlight Vigil able to land. Backline looking in a world of trouble. Onat's going to teleport right back at Lunacia.
Minui exposed and 4 fall! Team Fish Taco will destroy Cincinnati Fear in game number 1.
40 seconds left for anybody's back up. This is Team Fish Taco cleaning this one up, ready to go. And they're going to be barreling it right on in. And Onat yet again coming up big with the teleport to get back into the fight. The way that Team Fish Taco, this is such a huge evolution even over the way they were playing just yesterday. Going for all of these flanks, interrupting the backline of Cincinnati Fear. This kind of growth over a single day is the kind of crazy things you never expect. Just the talks that they've had with their coaches, they haven't had time to practice any of these new things. It's just it being in the right mindset that's helped this team out so much.
Yeah, and the right mindset is echoed so much on Onat. You kept saying it throughout the entirety of that game, Josh. I didn't grow bored of it because I didn't grow bored of the plays that ONAT was attempting and trying to find for this squad, and ultimately it leads to some good success for Team Fish Taco. We're going to throw it over to short break. Return, it's time for that Rally Cry halftime show, the last one of the day with Genghis.